this energy that we saw before, very explosive, very shocking, very disturbing in our sky. It can be as small as one of those stories where someone drives their car through a crowd of people. Mars represents people who wield weapons and cause harm. Uranus is the shock of the harm that was caused. If that makes any sense to you guys, I hope that does. The Mars thing is daunting. Mars-Uranus energy is intense and it usually brings explosive events in the world. Just like you have in your own lives, countries have their own birthday solar return charts. Welcome to the astrology. It's 29th of June till July the 5th, encompassing America's holiday. And this is the astrology forecast. In today's video, we're going to talk about how Mars and Uranus are coming together and creating a collision impact and how that might impact all of us individually and collectively. By far, the biggest story is Mars's ingress or movement into the sign of the twins, the warring brothers and the fighting neighbors. And this also puts Mars in the part of the sky that you would represent as America's enemies that are open and adversarial. So there may be some stuff happening in America during the July 4th holidays, 3 days before, 3 days after, when Mars is absolutely kicking up a storm. However, Mars is also about your motivation, your willpower, your determination, and where you wish to affect life decisions and choices that momentize or create change. And in the sign of Gemini, every 2 years, Mars has a new story to tell. Certainly, hanging out with Uranus, the god of lightning strikes and bolts of change and the unexpected and the Promethean fire itself, makes Mars's story so much more interesting than his journey through Gemini any time in our lives in the last 84 years. That's how cool and rare this narrative is. In today's video, we're just going to talk about how this might work for your sign, how it might make changes in the world. And I'm going to show you what the story looks like. I'm going to bring it up for our perusal, and then we're going to get started. Now, remember, this is general bell curve astrology, not your personal astrology reading. That said, you should be able to get some juice out of it by listening for your sun, moon, and rising sign. Sun is your personality, is your deep essence. The character is in the simulation. The more mask you wear is your ascendant. And the moon is how you feel and think about life, but also your home and nest. Now, one thing I want to say is welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Lori Lothy, and I tried to wear some Martian colors today, a little bit of red, a little bit of orange, because Mars is hot, Mars is fiery, Mars is like that spark of will, and he's moving in the sky in such a way that I think we're having explosive energy. We don't know how to wear explosive outfit, but welcome to my channel if you're new. Don't forget liking and subscribing. It's like a tip jar and it helps my channel grow. And please consider also hitting that notification bell, ding, so you don't miss a thing. I'm having one thing to share with you. I'm excited about Sky Reader is coming up. That is my yearly program. I've extended it from 6 weeks to 7 weeks this year. We start the third week of September. We're going to be talking about replays, Q&As weekly, of course, evergreen access, 4 guest teachers teaching things from astrocartography to the divine timing of feminine timing of Venus, as well as hopefully trying to get on board a medical astrologer to teach us some basic medical astrology. We have 4 guest teachers every year. And when you sign up for Sky Reader, you'll be able to access the archive of all other guest teachers over the years. So there's so many things to say other than it's $200 off. This deep dive discount does not continue. It ends at the end of July. So if you're interested in joining me for Be Your Own Astrologer, Time Your Best Life, learn the basics of reading the sky and using simple timing tools, then I'd love to see you in class. I really, really would. All right. So the Mars thing is daunting. Mars-Uranus energy is intense and it usually brings explosive events in the world. And in fact, when we had the beginning of the situation with the war in Iran, we ended up that spun off an eclipse on February 17th, but also we were under the influence of a Mars-Uranus square. It was a closing square, the end of a cycle that took about 2 years to unfold. And it did have a lot to do with war and also the Middle East. This is a new cycle starting. Mars is coming together again with Uranus to initiate a new cycle that'll take approximately 2 years to complete as Mars keeps tick-tocking around the sky, makes an opening square, an opposition, and a closing square to Uranus over 2 years. This is an inception point, and it's July 4th-ish. It's very exact, and it's going to bake itself in like you would bake. People know what baked in means. It's like if you were to fire up a kiln and bake in the glaze or the Sumerian tablets, it's going to cement it into place. So the United States birthday chart, called the Sibley chart, bakes into place this particular intensity. And I might do a separate, I think what I'm going to do in my members only section at the end of this video is dive into the US Sibley birthday chart and ask ourselves some questions. What can we expect the United States of America to experience baking in Mars-Uranus conjunction in Gemini in the house of open enemies, the 7th house in the Sibley chart? United States is a Sag rising at 12 degrees. And we might also consider what this baked in Jupiter square Chiron might create. That is also going to be stuck with the United States as like a solar return, a birthday chart, just like you have in your own lives. Countries have their own birthday solar return charts. And it'll be interesting to dive into that in the members only section at the end of this video. For now, I'll make some overview speculations that I might consider easy on the algorithm. When I say easy on the algorithm, what I mean is it's easy here in YouTube land to face a shadow ban or demonetization. I don't have sponsors for my channel. If I did, we would be talking about a different story. But without sponsors, that means that I can get basically a flag for demonetization or shadow ban, and it's just not worth it. This is my main livelihood. So if you wonder why we have a members only section and Substack here on YouTube, and also over at Patreon, the same members only with more perks is there as well. The reason that exists, simply said, is because I am trying to stay away from the censors, okay? I'm not trying to be obtuse here, but if you know what I mean, right? I do not want to be censored. So, and then my channel is shut down and shadow banned. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take us right over to the chart. I apologize for the echo chamber in my earlier videos. I just moved to a new place. I didn't have a carpet, and my microphone got accidentally set on stereo mode, not cardioid or whatever it's called. So that's my mistake. I apologize. A lot of you complained about the echoey sound, and yeah, sometimes shit happens. So now I'm going to go back in time a bit so you can see the beginning of the week. All right. Let's take ourselves all the way to the beginning, July the 29th, which is a Monday. And this video will come out on a Sunday, so the 28th is valid. And you'll see that what we have going on here, this is just the general sky, is that we see Mars has ingressed on the 28th into the sign of Gemini, where he will be for approximately 6 weeks, actually until August the 11th. So we have a lot of Mars in the house of open enemies, and the United States has its open enemies in the sign of Gemini. This is very intense energy for the United States of America to have this energy so active as the birthday approaches. So I will leave that for your consideration at this point. In the meantime, each of our lives, we see Mars is in what we call an engagement window, 3 degrees away from Uranus, as early as the 28th of June. And this is where we can see calamitous, shocking events occur in the sky that look like aggression, conflict, or violence, or even things that might be connected to some degree to aggression from acts of terror. Now I'm going to grab The Archetypal Universe by good old Ren Butler, my dear friend and colleague, and I'm going to tell you what he has to say about Mars and Uranus, because this is not about the events. This is about the energy of these two crazy-ass planets coming together. Mars-Uranus is like dynamic urges toward freedom, independence, determined cravings for thrills and for excitement, sudden breakthroughs and rushes of energy, and electric yang or yan enthusiasm, the male energy. But in the dark side, it's excessive self-will, reckless courage, reckless defiance, impulsive, rash actions, and flashes of anger. Now, seize the day, carpe diem, sure, that could be a part of it. On the other hand, in the real world settings, you'll often see unexpected explosions, explosive events, kinetic events, if you know what I mean. Mars represents people who wield weapons and cause harm. Uranus is the shock of the harm that was caused, if that makes any sense to you guys. I hope that does. It's got a bit of an outlaw vibe. It's got a rule-breaking vibe, of course, busting outside the confines of the normative Uranian. So there's a rash, brave energy going here. Now, Ren Butler says this can cause the urge to shed blood. Okay. the urge to shed blood for any reason. So, he also talks about swashbuckling, hotshot, daredevil, rebel, outlaw, freedom fighting, hot-headed, and volatile energy connected to this. Now, I'm not going to speculate on what kind of stuff is going to go on here, really. When Mars and Uranus were connected in 2024, Butler, Pennsylvania happened. It was on top of Donald Trump's Taurus midheaven. So this 2024 midheaven of Taurus Trump activation in Butler, Pennsylvania in mid-July of 2024 was when Mars and Uranus came together again for the first time. I mean, not for the first time, but in recent time. And that was in Taurus. Now, this is Mars, Uranus together in Gemini was happening back in the time that Uranus was in the sign of Gemini. So you have to track history for that, right? Uranus was back there ages ago, 84 years ago. So we don't have commensurate stories here. It would have overlapped with events that happened at the end of World War II and into the aftermath of World War II. And you'll notice that Mars is definitely the guy who fires something, right? Whatever you want to call it, missiles or anything. And Uranus is the shocking result or the shocking display of that power. And there's a possibility that there is going to be some shocking display of aggression around July the 4th. So just watch Mars and Uranus tick-tocking along, right? I'm just going to move us forward a few days. We're on July the 2nd. Now they're separated by less than a degree. Now we're on July the 3rd, and now we're on July the 4th. Now, it really is like July the 3rd, getting pretty precise, but then into July 4th. And so it kind of embeds it or codes within the birthday chart of the United States, that energy as well. Of course, you see this Chiron-Jupiter square. In our members-only section, at the end of this video, I'll spend about 15 minutes giving you my thoughts about that. In our own lives, of course, none of us are going to be rebel freedom fighters. We're not going to be reckless, swashbuckling daredevils and outlaws. We're going to experience a profound change, a massive magnitude change in our Gemini whole sign house sky as we approach the 28th, actually, until July the 5th. So let's take a look at our signs. Let's go through that together. This is going to be mostly about you. I'm not going to add the world stuff here today. That's going to be for members only. One thing that a lot of astrologers talk about when it comes to Mars and Uranus and bad things happening is what happened in 1945, August 6th and 9th. I believe 9th was the second date. And that was, of course, what happened in Japan versus what happened with the United States and its new form of weaponry, if you know what I mean, in the Japanese-American War of 1945. And I'll just show you what I mean so that I guess I'm just proving a point is basically the point of what I'm about to show you. And we're going to continue, but I don't think we'll have it that bad this time. I don't think anyone's going to do that. But there is one nation in the world that has a flag that's blue and white who basically doesn't think inside the box, but way outside of the box and could do something absolutely catastrophic. But they would likely want to blame it on another country, not themselves. So that's the only way I can see something that bad actually trying to happen. And right now, that blue and white nation is desperately trying to seize control of the memorandum of understanding and that peace agreement, if you know what I mean. So, and to waylay any kind of stoppage of war in the current conflict. I'm recording this for you on June the 24th. So I'm going to share the screen again, because I just want to show you that. And this is just a small little concern, right? Because we're looking back here. As I said, during the end of World War II, we had Uranus in the sign of Gemini, and we also see Mars is joining in. And this is August the 5th. And that was one of the unfortunate droppings of a kinetic device that killed thousands and millions of people and contaminated the soil and was horrendous and had a little cloud that puffed up that looked like a, you know what, mushroom. So that is this. That is 1945. That is the energy coming into this July 4th. I'm not trying to scare anybody. But I will say that there is a possibility that this energy that we saw before, very explosive, very shocking, very disturbing in our sky, it can be as small as one of those stories where someone drives their car through a crowd of people and they're berserker and we're all shocked that somebody did something like that and all these people were unalive. There could be something like that. It could also be something of a greater global magnitude. There's only one country in the world that would do something as stupid as this, or crazy, or unhinged, you know? So that's my only warning. That's it. That one country. Otherwise, I think we're good. But who would they blame it on? Yeah, right. Not themselves. Let's go ahead and do the all signs, and we'll get rid of the bad stories and move to the your own breakthroughs. Yes, your own breakthroughs here. Lori Lothian, the weekly astrology. What a humdinger, right, guys? Humdinger. Now we're going to go through your sun, moon, and rising sign. Let me explain the difference between your sun, your moon, and your rising. I hear sometimes astrologers teaching or mentioning that your rising sign is your spiritual essence and your true self. And I'm disappointed or concerned by that perspective because it's not the true perspective. Now, you can say, how do I know that? Well, I'm using the ancient traditions. And I also know that from my own life experience. You know, if anybody here in my comments has lived through Uranus going over your ascendant, or Neptune going over your ascendant, or Pluto going over your ascendant, especially by degree, you know it impacts the character in the simulation. Your health, your body is there, the physical form that your spirit inhabits. Your disposition to the world, happy, sad, mad, the I am, you define, I'm a writer, I'm a communicator, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, you know, how you identify the character. I am smart, I am prickly, I am funny, the whole character, you know, nurture nature, call it what you will. You have a particular way of being that starts to show up as a child, particularly formative years. And by age of 7, it's pretty locked and loaded. We are not anything truly connected to the ascendant other than it is the vessel for the light of spirit. And then we play through that vessel like a spacesuit, right? In reality, that is the way we are using the vessel for life. So your ascendant is circumstantially accurate because it's very prone to the vagaries of fate. It's connected to the moon. It's connected to lunar light. It's connected to the nodes of fate. You're essentially driven by fate when your character is just the only thing you're living from. Okay. If you're living from your deeper spiritual self, that's your solar energy. I'm a fire sign in Aries. That's my essence. That's who I am. I'm the fire flavor of God, air, earth, water, fire. And we have modalities. I'm cardinal. You could be cardinal, fixed, or mutable. There's flavors of the divine spark. You are one. Think of a rainbow, one light prisming into various colors. That one light that you are, that one shade of hue of the divine, that is your sun sign by modality, by element, by house, by degree. And then we have the sun playing in matter. So you can think of the sun as the actor or the actress who plays a character in the movie, or as the game player who chooses a character for the simulation in the video game. The same idea. And the moon is your mind. You're thinking, when I say mind, it's how I think and feel. Sufis say thinking and feeling, you got nothing. Stop. Don't rely on your feelings. They're not going to be true. Don't rely on your thinkings. They're not going to be true. Your thoughts will never lead you to truth. It is your knowingness. And your knowing place is deep, intuitive, and still, and it's connected to the knowing heart. So there is a part of you, okay, that is always thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking. That's the moon. The moon reflects the true light of the sun, the spiritual light, but it doesn't have any intrinsic light of its own. It's a reflector. Your mind and your thoughts reflect the true light of your spiritual essence. They are not authentically real. They're just reflecting something that is real. But we live a life with thoughts and feelings. So when you meditate and when you get enlightened, when you're spiritually still, you're turning the moon down. You're dimming your moonlight so you can be in the stillness. Practical note, moon is your mother, sun is your father. Moon is home and nest and safety, and sun can be career and purpose. Okay, ascendant is just a circumstantial character in the sim. So let's start off with Aries. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And I hope to see some of you in class with me. I'd love to have you at Sky Reader in September. Go check out the information in the description box. By the end of July, you will not have the $200 discount price. So that's a super, super incentive for the early birds to come aboard. All right, so here we have Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. Aries, guys, I am one of you. I have my sun and moon here. I know how it feels to be us. Someone shoot me sometimes. We're always so like wanting to jump in and do, I don't know, heroic acts of superior rescue missions on people around us. Tell me it's not true. And we're dealing with this week ahead starting on Sunday, we're feeling the kinetic buildup of this explosion in our third house. Now, there can be a chance here. Be very careful this week ahead through to the July 5th when you're driving. This is a kind of story. Mars in the third house is usually domestic, civil, local, commuting and traffic and journeying to and fro in your daily activities. Now, yes, you could be like, when I first moved to Washington, D.C. in 1991, I literally crossed paths with an event where somebody with a weapon walked into a restaurant and opened fire. Okay. So yes, in my local neighborhood, can you imagine? So there is a sense, and like I lived in Manhattan for 4 years before that, nothing bad ever happened around me. So there's a possibility you should be careful in your neighborhood. Just be vigilant. Watch the neighbors. Watch your neighborhood watch, be careful. This is almost an explosive event close to home in the area where you live, near your daily go-tos, restaurants and gas stations and stuff like that. Now, of course, in a car or being a pedestrian around cars, again, be careful. This is where you want to do defensive driving. Be very cautious. Do not daredevil or recklessly drive your own car. This could lead to a road rage incident as well. So there's a vibe here, just very proactive. On a deeper sense than the week ahead with this intensity is a cosmic reset button. Not in Taurus, where Mars and Uranus kept resetting the story, but rather a cosmic reset button in connection with your third house. Reset the life story and breakthrough with siblings, with writing projects, with your online social media landscape. I'm going to be doing a video just about the Mars-Uranus conjunction as a standalone rather than a week ahead. So stay tuned for that because I'll dive into the deeper synodic cycle. But this is where you can have breakthroughs as well. Don't be afraid of the Mars-Uranus narrative. It can really, Mars is the Lord of your sign. It can propel you to a real freedom energy and a breakthrough energy in something that you feel is stagnant. Is it your landscape of your social media world, your website, your writing projects, your teaching and learning projects? These are ahas. These are major shifts of understanding. Your mind is opening up. Yes, your mind. You have a splinter in your mind, Aries, and it's opening up new vistas of understanding, but in ways that surprise you more or less. Again, I will be doing a deeper dive into this conjunction to dive into the synodic cycle as a standalone video later this week ahead. Also, finally, the energy that's happening down here is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is in your fourth house. So this explosive energy can take place not only in the neighborhood, but on the domestic front. So it go also in your home, close to home. Now, this is again, caution, caution, caution. We do have some protection from Lord Jupiter over Mercury, but you may have explosive communications with others connected to homeland, property, real estate, and the domestic home environment in general this week ahead. So keep your eye on the ball and be careful you don't go overboard on anything to do with like blowing out in frustration with someone in your domestic home life, but connected to maybe things in the third house as well. All right. So siblings, neighborhoods, travel, short distance travel. This could disrupt short distance travel. You had plans to travel, right? Okay, good luck. Something may disrupt those plans this week ahead. Again, it's not a punishment. It's just a redistribution of your life's direction. No big deal. But maybe that trip wouldn't have been a good idea anyway. It could be literally blowing out your tire on the road or having the airline cancel the flight. And we're talking about shorter trips, domestic flights, shorter travel, not usually exotic and far off places, unless it's exotic and far off place that you travel to regularly, like you commute to Palm Springs from Canada or to Florida from Canada every year, then that's almost like a commuter story or a regular shift, right? But when you're talking about adventure foreign travel, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about travel that is more familiar, and you might make a change of plan or cancel the trip or redistribute your plans on that story. Let's go ahead and talk about Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So you've been living Taurus with the energy here for an awful long time, that you've had the Taurus story and Mars-Uranus conjunctions here, like in 2022, and 2024. Are you okay? You've been living through kaboom, 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 right? It really hit Donald Trump, Butler, Pennsylvania in a weird way. JD Vance has got the Taurus midheaven. He's been experiencing it. Your Iran has a midheaven in Taurus. Iran's been experiencing this on and off and on and off, 21, 22, 24. And here we are for you. That's over. Good news. Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising, you're no longer going to be underneath this shock and awe that's hitting you at a deeply personal level with unexpected changes of direction, but also, of course, the breakthroughs you may have been capable of bringing. Instead, Taurus, what you're aiming for, what you're getting into is your money stuff. This is going to break through, break free your money issues. Uranus is rags to riches, or riches to rags. He'll bring staccato, up and down energy to your finances. Mars this week ahead is prevailing with some unexpected unexpected new directions and changes. I like Mars here for cutting, ending, and severing a job. If there's some career path that you're not down for, look at that trine between Mars and Uranus to Pluto. You're like, give it to me, man. I'm out of here. I'm like quitting this job. If the job quits you, don't sweat it. Ultimately, Pluto wants to bring you wealth and power over the course of the next 7 years. So 7 years until 2044, and Uranus is chiming in over the next 7 years. And this energy says you can have unexpected massive surges of wealth, primarily connected to work and work-related endeavors. You might find yourself making a dramatic, sudden, shocking change of dietary style and habits this week. And it would also be to curtail self-sabotaging food styles or addictive habits and patterns, including substance disorder, misuse, and abuse disorders. You might end up breaking away from that cigarette, that vape, that wine, that weed, whatever you do. It might be a dramatic shift of direction for you. It's a real powerful energy given Neptune, the god of addictions in the 12th house, is asking you to think about where escapism has gotten you into no good places, all right, where that doesn't work anymore. And finally, money in general. Look for unexpected directional changes in your finances. Mars is capable, as the ruler of your 12th house, of bringing you different forms of money from international far-off people, distant shores, and faraway places. Maybe you could get an opening for a work opportunity that you have to go somewhere far from where you currently are in order to receive that money or make that money, or a foreign company is actually offering you position in work. And be careful with your dental work, your teeth, and your face. This is your throat, your face, your mouth. And this is Mars-Uranus. Like, you could have an unexpected need, emergency dental work, right? That's not too bad, right? But you could also end up having some unexpected shocks regarding things you're trying to do with your face. I would not do laser surgery, dermabrasion. I would not do fillers. I would not do an injectable. I wouldn't do any penetrating substances that go in around your face, including scalpels. Sorry if you've got 2 years to see that famous plastic surgeon. I'm not going to tell you what to do. This is not medical advice, but there's something unexpected that could happen, something surprising. Maybe it's good. Maybe you're just going in for a routine rhinoplasty and they discover there's a tumor in your nose, and hallelujah, it saves your life. But I'm going to tell you to be careful about elective surgery this week ahead to anything connected to throat, teeth, mouth, and face, okay? Or any penetrating objects to the face. And if you have to speak to people in general, watch out. You could be shocking them with what you say. You might be swearing more, or your speech could just generally shock people. Like, whatever you're up to, they're like, whoa, did you just say that? Squaring the nose of fate as well. So bending the nose is pretty intense. I can't wait to do the deeper dive into this as a separate video. It's like a nodal bending kind of conjunction. All right, Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. It is a sky that tells me you're going to experience the shock personally. Your sun, your moon, your rising, you feel it. Your sun is your soul and your spiritual essence and your career path. The moon is your emotions and how you feel and think about your life. And of course, the sun is your core. And the rising sign is your simulation avatar. So it's the character in the sim, not the real you. So you play that role, but it's not who you are. So ultimately, of course, you're going to have something radically intense, transformative, breakthrough energy. But it may also surprise you. It may shock you. Like, you can't believe you just did that. And look at bending the north node in the career house, south node in the house of home. Like, you're making a major life pivot here. This week ahead is going to turn you inside up and upside down. And sometimes I think in Mars is just the choice point to dissect, to bisect, to cut away what isn't true and leave what is true standing. So there's a real shift here, a real perspective change that you're coming into, because you are making a radical and groundbreaking and revolutionary choice for yourself. And so I want you to think about what that might be, but you'll notice, like, maybe Sunday through to next weekend, this Sunday to next Sunday, the 28th to July 5th, you're really rocking this, like revising your reality in a big, big way. Mercury could translate some of it to monetary changes and ways in which you make money. He does rule that story with Jupiter. You might have an sudden surge of financial gain connected to career itself. The other energy would be, what decisions are you trying to make that have to do with the actual way in which you do gain career money? Because up here, right? That's the mechanisms for the career gain, second from the 10th. And, I make money through ad revenue on YouTube. I make money through, whatever your gig really is, through the corporation that I work for. But there's also made some radical changes up there. You might find with Mars ruling your 11th house and also sextiling Neptune, you're going to have a bold new vision, Neptune, of how you can make money in a way that Saturn says is sustainable. And tell me, as a progressed Gemini sun, I'm not on a sustainable production path with YouTube. I'm starting to get burned out, and it's not fun. We also have to move on to the next story, but let me finish one last thing for you guys. Because you're pointing your Martian sword into the 7th house, you may cut, end, and sever in shocking ways alliances with business partners, marriage partners, or with the way you approach your audience, marketplace, and clients. Because Mars doesn't add on, Mars separates and reduces and cuts away. There's something that you're about to snip. I don't know what it is. Could be snipping out of a person out of your life, a husband, a wife. Could be snipping out a business alliance, or you could be snipping out your way that you intersect with your customers, your clients, your marketplace, and your audience. All right, let's move on. All right, we have Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign. You guys are looking like you are doing something here that's all about breaking through your spiritual wall. If you've been thinking, I need to get down with God, meditate more, find a spiritual truth, I feel like a spiritual vagabond in life. Well, then what happens is Mars-Uranus, kaboom, your 12th house of spiritual liberation and spiritual enlightenment breakthroughs are possible. And this is going to be true on and off until 2044. In the meantime, Mars and Uranus here are really sitting with the concept that you might want to make some dramatic changes to the way you operate personally in your life as an avatar or a simulation character with Mercury in that first house. And the priority is abundance, joy, wisdom, and truth. That's what Jupiter's telling you. And if you're not doing abundance, joy, wisdom, and truth and prosperity, then there may be some major internal shifts. Cutting vows of poverty from past lives, shifting your relationship to your childhood and your ancestral line, shifting the way that karmatic patterns that you've been aware of have been playing out, and you're ready to release, surrender, and let them go. Mars also would help you change your career path into something more visionary and sustainable by looking at the 10th house and making some suggestions to you. Some of you might be refining in surprising ways the way you approach your career as well. And with this all bending the nodes of fate, there's just a normally intensified destiny play unfolding, especially from the North Node. The amplitude is purpose, meaning, and being aligned with purpose. And Pluto says, can we make more money? That's not the hustle. In what ways can money happen while you are sleeping? Money making money. Could you get money from sources that don't require the hustle, the drive, and the paycheck angle of reality? Those are feelings that you might be having as this Mars-Uranus conjunction are activated this week ahead. And ultimately, Mars and Uranus here may activate a major redistribution of how you approach your not only career, but your relationship to father figures in your life, solar figures, authoritative males in your life. So we do have a pending full moon in your 7th house of marriage. So if you consider your main squeeze love partner kind of patriarchal, masculine, or authoritarian, or if there's a boss that's overlording you and you can't deal anymore, you're going to make some shifts, and they're going to be dramatic, and they're going to be surprising, and they're going to be a little bit shocking. You're going to bust away from those shackles that could be holding you back in any way. This is really good for karmic clearing, busting through patterns that you recognize. My mom did it, my dad did it, ancestral patterns and karmic patterns. And sometimes it just happens naturally, right? You don't have to sweat it. I'll be doing a longer video on this and talking about it in lots more depth, but that's the vibe of the week ahead. The reason we're going to do a separate video, this is a synodic cycle. It's about the next 2 years. It's not just about this week. All right, Leo, Sun, Moon, and Rising. We have a conjunction here between Mars and Uranus in your 11th house of good spirit, a positive house, a difficult energy. There can be a massive blowout with a sibling one older than you. There could be a massive shocking story, exciting, exhilarating in the life of a friend, ally, benefactor, or sibling one older than you. This energy is also a part of the chart where it's the money you make in terms of the rewards, the awards, the celebrity, the financial gain that you're making in your career. And when this energy is combusting up a little kinetic momentum there may be a breakthrough in your career. There may be some kind of like, I won the Academy Award. I got accepted at my favorite community center club for famous authors, or something about celebrity perks, awards, rewards. For some of you, that may be true. Mars is the ruler of your ninth house, of course, so some of it may align with foreigners, foreign people, sibling one older and two older. It also may connect you to matters to do with international travel and sudden opportunities connected to friends, okay, a sibling one older, and matters connected to your career itself. An international travel opportunity may come upon you and surprise you by the end of this week ahead. Don't forget, this is an intense energy. We have a nodal bending going on. Ultimately, it's going to revise and rearrange your money story, especially the type of work you do and the way you want to make money with less hustle and more ease. Finally, I think I want to mention Pluto. This is a trine to Pluto in your seventh house. And if you're in the social media landscape, have clients and audience and stuff like that, this could be a nice breakthrough for you. Something could pop here. It could feel like a turning point, but you may be making a decision to allow for the turning point to happen, right? So, you're not just sitting around and it happens, but you make an executive decision and may be connected to turning points in your career, your audience, marketplace, clients, the way you make money in your career, or your orientation towards your spousal relationship. But with the surprise element, part of it might involve a third person. Anyone got Vicky Cristina Barcelona on the mind? You could kind of go friends with benefits here in a relationship. You could go polyamorous or marital sabbaticals or something there for you to consider that you're thinking about as you move towards this week ahead story. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. I have to say that you're definitely looking at a change in your career path. I'd be shocked if this doesn't happen. Now, it's a synodic cycle. It really blends in a deeper story of the next 2 years, and I'll be doing a deeper dive into that. But this week ahead, there's explosive energy in your 10th house of career and reputation. And it could also look like you quit your job, or the job is firing you, or there's a major restructuring in the company you're working for. Is it bad or is it good? It's neither. It could be surprisingly positive, trining Pluto, leading to professional advancement, more wealth through money and service and job. It can also transform the level of power you hold within a sphere of influence. Maybe you're going to get elevated. Maybe the boss is going to quit and you get to move into their position. There's this kind of OMG, what the hell's going on here in the career job sector for you? And also, Mars is the ruler of your house of chunky money, and there's a shock in the house of father figures. Maybe you could come into some chunky money this week ahead as well. Is this money important to you? Well, any money you get now wants to liberate you in some way, to free you from some shackles connected to career and reputation. So you're unshackling. I'm sorry, you get a siren, Virgo. Oh no, I don't think I have my mic on high filter today. And no, I moved to the less siren-y neighborhood. Next place I'm going is off to a farm, 100 miles from the city. All right, so I think you're going to find yourself surprised about your career, surprised about your work environment, shocked even, exhilarated, maybe feeling free, maybe having a breakthrough moment in the career sector of your life. Your reputation as well, of course, is up there. And now bending the North Node could be a shocking, surprising directional change in your long-term committed love relationship. And it could also involve such things as wedding proposals or things to do with a visibly announced public change of status regarding a long-term committed love story. And some of you may be going through that as well. Like maybe there's like shocking ways that you're changing your status to engaged or married or divorced or separated or things like that. Mercury can bring some of that, of course, over to the career gains, which want to be more bountiful. Jupiter and Mercury are together here, although there's a reformation by Mercury. He doesn't really touch down with Jupiter, but he gets close. There's a kind of a vibe of wanting to puff up your gains of your career by some radical changes in the career. Now, if you're retired, I hear this all the time. What do you visibly do in the eyes of the world? Do you golf? Do you go to bridge? What are you doing that you think, oh my God, I look good on myself? Like, look at the camera replay. Look how I look in the eyes of the world. That's your reputation. That's your public presentation. That's your visible actions in the world. That's your 10th house. You can't not have visible actions unless you're hidden under your bed all day long, even if you're retired. So how are you feeling? You're having a breakthrough in the way the world sees you and the way you act in the world at large and the way you achieve and accomplish something that matters to you. Moving on. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. The week ahead astrology has this intensity. Mars and Uranus are joining forces. Explosive, exciting, dynamic, breakthrough, change, especially as the weekend approaches. And it is in the ninth house for foreign travel, foreign lands, foreign shores, foreign people. Matters connected in the ninth house, may educational, higher level learning, maybe foreign travel and distant passports, things connected to your spiritual community and your religious beliefs, and even courts and judges, shocking, surprising, breaking free and breaking through. And with Mars is the ruler of your business partners and marriage partners, seventh house, and clients as well. There may be a massive shift there that surprises you, but it might involve the word foreign or distant shore or a far off place or some foreign person. And if you were single, would I meet someone under this? I wouldn't suggest it, but you could. There's a general vibe between Venus and Mars that suggests harmony, and you could end up in a friend zone relationship, that all of a sudden takes off, like you thought you were just friends. But more likely, it's not that. More likely, some of you are looking at some major changes of alignment with purpose. You could have a shocking change of plans for international travel. There may be some kind of need for you to revise your stance on a legal matter. And this lawyer is your Mars, and the shock is the way to go about redoing a court or a legal case you might have, or there might be breakthroughs in legal court matters as well this week ahead. And with the trine to Pluto in the fifth house of good fortune, this is positive in that regard. This is like, okay, and we want to bring you some good fortune that surprises you. And it can be connected to legal courts and court cases and such. Mars is the ruler of not only your marriage house, which he is, but also your earnings house. So there's earnings and long-term relationship changes or surprises that may occur this week ahead. And partly, I think that with Mercury in the 10th house, a lot of this looks very career-oriented to you guys, right? Major changes in the career. The only other thing would be major announcements regarding your long-term committed love story that are being moved into reality that connect to legal matters like divorce and separation, or maybe green card passports, green card weddings, or something like that for some of you. Like not arranged, but legal necessity, and therefore weddings based on the need to have the right passports to be together. And maybe it's not that you're doing the wedding this week. Maybe it's that you're planning, or you have the idea, or there's some breakthroughs there. Lastly, if there is a lastly, bending the nodes of fate, there's definitely the possibility of some major changes here connected to your health and your work. Now, I'm not worried about the health in terms of Jupiter being in such good shape, trining the house of sickness. So if there are changes in your health, they're for the better, and they're surprisingly positive, and a guide, advisor, and mentor gives you health advice. But if it's about the work, it's also still pretty positive. It would be an increase of prosperity, of joy, enjoyment, and pleasure in your work, as well as a destined feeling you're on track with your dharma. Look for original insights. Look for downloads from the divine. Heaven is here in the ninth house. God is here in the ninth house. Look for inspiration from higher powers. Call out to your archangels or something. And you could have some really powerful downloads this week ahead for creative, artistic ideas. And maybe some of you under the sky could actually get a job in another country or be hired by a foreign employer. Let's talk about Scorpios and the sky. It's Mars-Uranus this week ahead, not seen here for a long time, like 84 years. Are you ready? This is kaboom energy in your eighth house, and your eighth house is your house of chunky money. Yes, it's occult mysteries. Yes, it's secrets, but it's also money that you don't earn directly from your paycheck, money that you share with others, shareholder monies, or monies with spousal support, or monies from inheritance that wasn't yours. You're sharing it with the dad or your relatives, right? So feeling into this energy, I suggest you think about what it is that might come from your family of origin, legacy, wealth, real estate, land, and property, and possibly a father figure. With Mercury, with the sun, the passing or illness of a father figure, grandpa, great-grandpa, great-uncle, daddy-o, could eldering, sick and frail, Saturn, Neptune in the house of sickness. There can be something like that here. For some Scorpios, this could be a shocking reveal that you're just about to inherit some money, not necessarily this week ahead, but probably within the 2 years that follows this conjunction. And the other thing I would mention here is that Mars is the ruler of this sorry, Mars is with Uranus and rules the house of sickness, but also debts. If you have any debts you need to pay off, or someone is indebted to you, a debt should be coming back, repayments, you're having some surprising and shocking, maybe happy and exciting debt repayments, debt elimination opportunities, Scorpio, for this story. Mars Uranus here also is flowing to the nose of fate and bending the nose of fate, unfortunately, but intensity, and the house of good fortune is activated positively. I think you could come into some winning of money, but I don't think it's a lottery ticket. It's something else like, wow, that's a nice little pocket. That's a nice little bit of change. I'm going to pocket that, but you didn't have to earn it. Like, I don't know what it is. You could find money on the street. I don't know. Surprising developments with pets may occur under this direction, this sky. If you have a pet, expect the unexpected with your pets this week ahead. I don't think it's going to cause harm, though. And ultimately, I think that Mercury says, I want to bring you the best alignment possible with like what is wise and true, including surprises regarding money, a sibling to older, money and legal matters in courts. All right, those themes are highly activated here. Surprises with conception and childbirth as well in this week ahead. And if anybody is pregnant, there may be precipitous labor, okay, coming through the sky by the July 5th timeframe. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. All right, so the shock and awe, the surprise, and the breakthrough is in the marriage house. If your marriage, your partner may be having a breakthrough, a break-free moment, and or they're breaking free and through of you. You might find your partner ready to cut bait and, what is that expression? Cut bait and what? Run? But like, honestly, like you haven't lived through this before, right? First in a lifetime Mars-Uranus conjunction. And I'll be doing a much deeper dive into this, but at the very basic level, you can't predict your partner under this sky. They're going to be radical, and there may be a need for more freedom, interdependence, and breaking away from each other. Even if you don't divorce or separate that way, you just need more time apart. Are you feeling glued to the hip? Is it time to break free or break through somebody? If you're with somebody, this can also be a break free, break through with a sibling 3 older or 3 younger. And Mars can translate that to your 5th house of romantic love. Yes, break free, breakthrough in romance, dating, and long-term love relationships. Some radical stories going on here, and you may not be in charge of them because the 7th house is other people, also open enemies. If you know that there's someone who's out to get you, then just duck, right? This is not a great placement for being pointed at by someone wielding a weapon. So be careful this week. I know how can you avoid a nut job with a weapon, right? But just in general, just watch out for people who look like they're losing their shit and don't go into the fray. If you're in a restaurant or a bar or a club and somebody's going into a fist fight, do you really want to get in the middle of that this week ahead? No, stay back, stay clear. Do Zen, chill out, pray for the fighters. Try not to get yourself in the mix. I'm not kidding you. This is aimed at you from across the way. So be careful to your physical body, especially Sag rising. Just this week ahead. Okay, not for 2 years. The bending of the North Node could bring unexpected offers for the purchase or sale of a property by a particular unexpected buyer. You might find yourself in illegal contractual negotiations around property that you didn't expect in exciting or exhilarating ways. And there is a possibility with a Jupiter and Mercury in the house of chunky money. And this is the setting place. It's somebody you know, a mercurial person is ready to go into that good night radically suddenly, meaning they're not going to stay in their body. They're going to drop the body kind of thing. And that happens, it could bring you some prosperity. And the North Node says the same thing. So if a great grandparent or an elderly parent, or especially if you have an elder parent that you're caretaking because they're in a condition of childlikeness, you have to watch out for them. They may suddenly depart this week ahead. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not scaring you. I'm just saying there's this kind of vibe here for some of you that could happen. Certainly not all. You wouldn't be surprised by the elderly, frail parent that you're parenting. You'd be surprised that they said they've got another year, but they're going to leave this week. That's what I mean. So tie up loose ends if you have to under this kind of sky. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. Mars and Uranus are co-joining in the sky as they co-join here in your 6th house. Unexpected shocks and surprises with your pets, with your health, or with things connected to debts or rental properties. Now, it's going to happen again at least 3 to 4 times between now and 7 years ending, 3 times most likely. And this is the first time you're checking it out. And it's a synodic cycle, kind of has a 2-year vibe. I'll be covering this, by the way, in another longer video. But for you this week ahead, this is not the time to let your pet off the leash, right? To go running through the neighborhood, right? This is not the time to be ill-attentive to the animals in your life, because this is a shocking surprise. Mars is cutting and severing, and it can impact your pet or the health of a pet. If you have a pet, then be careful. The trine to Pluto can bring you unexpected wealth and surprising opportunities financially connected to work. And yet at the same time, Mercury in the 7th house can bring breakthroughs and surprises as well, connected to legal contracts, business partnerships, and long-term committed love and relationship partners. But we're ending something too, and Mars is eliminating. You might be breaking a karmic debt or a pattern of indebtedness karmically to another person in a shocking and surprising way. Mars is the ruler of the 4th house. You may get up and move. You may leave your home. You may rent a new home. You may quit your home. You may walk away from a domicile, or the domicile undoes itself and moves away from you. There may be a need to change your location. Not that you will do the location change in this week ahead, but you'll be certainly making a clear understanding that you need to do that. So it could be anything, oh my God, there was an earthquake and the place you're renting is fractured and you have to move. All right. So it could incite the beginning of the possibility of a residential change. And if you've been deluded about things like your home, you've been sticking in with your home despite it being not the right place for you. Like you've got rose-colored glasses. I could live here forever. Or you live with alcoholics or mentally ill people or something. Neptune. And Saturn is the burden and the hardship and the melancholy of it all, and the aloneness of it all. You might be looking at some changes here. You might be going, I'm done. I like this. This has been tough. I want to move. Saturn's realistic. Neptune's idealistic, glamorous, and Mars is cutting through the dross. And Uranus is shocking you with what you can possibly do, see, and change here. The only thing I'd say, be careful with your health. Of course, Mars is here. Inflammation, heat, rashes, fevers, flus, airborne and lung illnesses this week ahead could take you down a bit. You know what I mean? I'm not saying in a bad way, just like be careful, right? You just don't need to get sick. And it could just be a neighborhood pub, or it could be traveling, but it wouldn't last, right? I'm not talking about a death sentence. I'm just saying this could induce you to some kind of injury, accident, inflammation, illness this week that surprises you. You're like, I never get that kind of sickness. I'm always robust, And don't cut your hands either. Sometimes you can cross-associate Gemini with the 3rd house of arms and hands and shocking injuries to do with cuts and severing. So just be cautious there as well. All right, Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising, shocking surprises with Mars-Uranus co-joining for the first time in 84 years in our house of children, romantic love and sexual energy, and our entrepreneurial business endeavors, as well as our creative and artistic projects. This kind of combination of planets can really open up a breakthrough, break-free surprise. It's air trining Pluto in your sign. You might not mind this. You might welcome it. You might feel like freedom has arrived to be a writer, to be artistic, to be creative, to be entrepreneurial in a way that's meaningful. It sextiles Neptune to find a vision that's true for you, but sustainable in your social media, online world, writing, communicating, and selling. Break free, breakthrough. Well, we win money here because this is the house of good fortune. Now, you could win money under any kind of Uranus activity in the 5th house. The translation from Mars would be go to the local store, get your local ticket, go to the casino or the bingo hall. The prosperity is coming from the local environment if there's going to be a financial breakthrough. Also, there can be a disposition of one of your children that they're going through a major radical life change and turning point decisions. Okay. Now, so you'll be there watching it, flowing to it, supporting that, turning around for one of your children. This can be massive surprise energy, though. It's like the choice your child makes is to change genders. The choice your child makes is to announce that they're, prefer the same sex. The choice your child makes is to tell you that they're pregnant and keeping the baby. And you're like, what? You're like too young, or you're not married, or whatever you think about it. Good luck with that. Your child or one of your children can be making major life turning point or choices that you consider surprising, radical, or unexpected. That's simple. And finally, I would say under this sky, I'm one of you guys, I think you could wrangle, this is starting on the 28th, right? when we're talking about Mars's ingress, you could wrangle on the 28th something really lovely around a surprising new romantic engagement for singletons. Because with Jupiter transferring his energy on the 29th, 30th into Leo, it pretty well goes from the 28th into a committed love energy. So if you're looking for a relationship and you haven't started one yet, then this could be some radical surprise where somebody or something asks you out on a date or tells you that they're madly in love with you, but a local neighborhood or online person, right? Coming off the third house. And you find out that you've got an admirer or somebody who's into you and you can take it or leave it one way or the other. And also finally, a sibling one younger and a sibling two younger than you. Those are surprises as well, particularly surprises in the life of a sibling two younger than you in birth order. That's where the big kaboom is hitting. Alrighty. And last but not least, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising, best and always best. Here we go. The boom energy of Mars and Uranus is in your fourth house. Your fourth house is a house of where you live, your home, your nest, your domicile. It connects you to the environment where you sleep at night in the midnight hour. And this is your mom and your dad and your family of origin and people you grew up with. And particularly often that mother is here. Some shocking surprises are coming through the sky for you. Now I don't care if you live in a tent or a trailer, you live somewhere. This is where you live. End of story. For, archetypally, the fourth house is where one is resting in the midnight hour. And there's a surprise in the home or shock in the home or surprising, shocking circumstance arising regarding home and where one lives. This can be earthquake energy, right? So just not everybody who's a Pisces rising is going to be in an earthquake, but it's like there's either a domestic whiplash earthquake of circumstances with people you live with or your home itself, or there could be a real shaking of the ground here for you. Mars is a ruler of the money house and earnings. And so maybe something connected to finances and home, finances and family of origin, finances and property, maybe jumpstarting here for you. You got Mercury in the house of good fortune, and on the 28th, Jupiter is there. This could be a case for some winning of money. And so if you're likely to win money, it could happen this week ahead. So as Mars is ingressing, we still have Jupiter in your house of romantic love, but also of windfalls, pennies from heaven. Well, it's more like the house of good fortune, but it invites in the speculation, gambling, and gaming that allows for those good fortunate wins financially. I think you could find yourself, one of you, two of you, coming into a feeling like, oh my God, I feel like I won the lottery. Whether it's real or not, I can't tell you, but there's a possibility. And that allows for a shocking freedom, an unexpected new direction, and new decisions and choices about home. Some of you can make that into rental choices. Some of you can make it into purchases. I see this less likely to be a purchase under the sky and more likely to be around an opportunity to move your home, involving rental homes rather than leasing homes rather than buying, but don't discount buying. I'm just a general reader here. You're bending the North Node in your sign. Fated circumstances are happening and you're choosing, and life is choosing for you. I can't see you in the next 2 years. Like, this is a synodic cycle. I'm going to do a deep dive. Wherever you're living now, a lot of you are going to change where you live in the next 2 years or whom you live with. All right. Circumstantial changes with who you live with. Mercury will be heading retrograde. Look for lovers and romantic partners and long-term partnership people in relationship from the past to start to show up this week ahead. And I've got a separate Mercury retrograde video out. So take note of that, because you may be changing your domicile connected to former relationships resurfacing. And while you may not change your domicile this week, you'll be aware of the potential by the end of this week ahead, by July 5th, about why you might change your home. For what reason would you change your home? And if you do change your home, it's connected to someone who lives far from where you currently live, in a far off land or distant shore, for example. Okay, so good luck with that. This is just a quick overview of that energy for the week ahead. This is not the deep dive video that's going to come out separately. This is more important, though, to get this out for you, but probably on Thursday this week, I'll have a really meat and potatoes version, because we want to talk about this as a synodic cycle. This is a new 2-year forecast. This is the personal lifetime energy. We haven't lived through it individually or collectively, unless you were living in the 40s and you remember your life back then. So yeah, so it's a big deal. Now I'm going to finish this up with the members only section next. In the members only section, we're talking all all about the energy of what the world astrology says in the Sibley natal chart, birthday chart of July the 4th. And thank you, members only. For the rest of you, I appreciate you being here. Check me out on Patreon. They get the members extended version every week. And also I drop random videos into my members only at both Patreon and here, teaching videos and classes just for you. You can join here for like $3 or something US on my members only at YouTube, or you can up level a bit more at Patreon, where you have Zoom meetings and calls with me in a more intimate environment. All right, so I'll see you guys on the other side. We're heading into members only. Don't forget to come join me in Sky Reader in the fall, in September, at 7 weeks. It's a fun class. You'll learn a bit about how to read your own chart, be your own astrologer, and time your best life. All right, see you guys on the other side of the members only.